Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. JJ and I are finally here for Season 2 of Daredevil, talking about a season, I think, with quite a few different plot lines, and I think I'm interested to talk about this with you, JJ, because, like, I've also watched The Defenders, so I went ahead, and I think going in and watching The Defenders now gives more context to Season 2, so it made Season 2 retroactively better for me, so interested to talk about it here.
Jake, I know you weren't looking forward to The Defenders, so I'm glad that you got through that.
Yes.
And at least we don't have to watch all of the Defenders shows. Season 2, it is hard for me to say that Season 2 is not my favorite, just because the stuff with the Punisher is so good. But like you said, the hand part of this season is a little bit lacking until you get the context of later content.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I have no problem with the Punisher stuff. Like, that's pretty much perfect in my opinion. Like, John Bernthal is amazing in the role. Just everything, like that prison scene with Kingpin and like Punisher just mauling all these guys in the prison is just incredible to watch. Like, I probably like put that up there with some of the best fight scenes in the MCU, honestly.
And I love how different they make his fight scenes from Matt's. And of course they have to, because like Matt is a trained martial artist, but at the same time, like the feeling of everything to the Punisher is just really this down and dirty style of fighting where he's going to win at all costs.
Yeah, I loved everything with it. And then obviously you get like everything with his family, which I'm sure his own show puts even more context to it. But like even without that, like I thought it was really, really good in this show itself of, you know, giving enough so that you know who this guy is. And, you know, also is the basis for everything that happens and everything that's going to get revealed at the end of the season with Clancy Brown's character. So...
And I think that they left his storyline off really well too. Like sometimes with spin-off shows, you'll get this thing where you like have to continue watching the spin-off in order to understand what's going on. But like you could have just watched this and dropped the Punisher and been okay. Like this felt like enough of his storyline without being left on a gigantic cliffhanger, but at the same time they left him off in a really good spot where they could further develop that storyline in his own series.
Yeah, I like at some point I definitely am open to going back and watching his series, but for now like I'll probably just stick to like the Daredevil stuff because it's a lot. But I really loved his character in here. Even like the rooftop scene as well is another great scene where him and Matt he chains Matt up to like the chimney and just like has this amazing conversation of like, you know, his morality and everything. Like I feel like it's just so good.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that people who don't know anything about the Punisher don't understand. Like they just kind of assume that he's this vigilante who kills whoever. But he really does have this moral code, and it's different from Daredevils, and the audience is certainly left to decide who they want to go, or like who they want to side with. I mean, we get all this discussion from the people of New York too throughout the whole trial with the Punisher.
Yeah.
People on all sides of this. So I really like the way that the moral dilemma is presented, where you're left to make your own decisions.
Right. Yeah, I enjoy that too. I mean, anything else that you wanted to touch on with the Punisher before we kind of talk about some of the other characters?
This is more kind of regarding the season as a whole, but like his storyline getting dropped when he went into prison, that makes sense from a chronological standpoint, and I have no problem with that. But it felt kind of weird that the season was all about the Punisher, and then for a few episodes it had nothing to do with the Punisher, and then oh, here's the Punisher again. Like the first season was consistently the Kingpin from start to finish.
Yeah.
And that was one storyline. And now we've got these multiple storylines being presented together. And it's nice kind of to see Matt being pulled in all these different directions, but that's not really new for this show. And it doesn't feel like they tied the storylines together very well. That part was a little sloppy.
Yeah, I definitely struggled with that watching season 2, and just like for the first time, like I'd watched a few episodes, like I'd watched through everything with the rooftop scene in one watch, and then I had to come back to it obviously through this. But yeah, I just really, really struggled. And I just like until Defender, to be honest, like the hand stuff and Elektra like just didn't interest me all that much. Like I know they had Stick in season 1, and it was more so in that moment to explain how Matt learned everything he knew from Stick, and how he's kind of raised at one point by Stick. And then at the end, they were like, oh, okay, there's more to this. Stick is wanting to train Matt for something else. But that's where they left it off season 1. Coming here, it just felt really off. And like, even when they expanded upon it at the end of the season with like Nobu coming back to life because like the hand resurrected him, like it's somewhat interesting, but also I just wasn't super interested in the hand at this point.
Yeah, it wasn't the same caliber as the Punisher. That being said, like the hand stuff I didn't care about much, but Elektra coming in, and like all this flashback stuff that we got with her and Matt, that was really interesting. And casual fans of Daredevil from like the pre-MCU Marvel movies too, I'm sure would be really excited about Elektra coming in. Of course, this was a very different take than we got from the Elektra movie. But she's a really interesting character. And then jumping off of her storyline to get into the hand also makes sense, but that also could have waited till the very end of the season and maybe leave us open to, let's put all of this storyline into season 3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, they put it in season 2.5 instead.
Well, season 2.5 still works fine.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're bringing a whole bunch of shows together, it's like develop pieces of it on the ends of the seasons of each of these shows, and then bring it all together for the Defenders. That would have been cool. But it just too much of this season of Daredevil is devoted to the hand.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was just hard for me to be like as interested when I'm like, where is the Punisher? Like, I just want more of this of Frank Castle and what he's doing and this trial, and like just everything was so much more interesting. And even like I loved how the trial even expanded more on Karen and Foggy, like how, you know, they're both growing increasingly frustrated with everything going on with Matt, trying to lead this double life between Matt and Daredevil. And like basically it ruins their friendships for almost the whole season. Like Foggy and Matt, like Foggy literally leaves their law firm to go join another one. Like, yeah.
I mean, and this is going to have permanent implications for their friendship too. I mean, you don't get to really come back from this. And I know it was like, I did appreciate that it was kind of this tenuous truce that they had at the beginning of the season, which was great coming out of the Kingpin stuff. But really, it's Matt's fault. It's nothing about Daredevil. It's that he has been an unreliable friend, an unreliable business partner. But like kind of tangential to that, also, I really liked all the court case stuff.
Yes.
Seeing the law side of Daredevil is really important too, and really interesting. Even if it's not this superhero flashy stuff that we're used to, we don't need that every single episode all the time. We get that when we get that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, this is the most well-written, law stuff, law writing that we've gotten in the MCU ever. Like, She-Hulk was terrible, in my opinion, and like this was so much better.
Yeah. Let's talk about Karen for a minute since you brought her up.
Yes.
I really enjoyed seeing her progression through the bulletin.
Yes.
And even her at the law firm, like really coming into her own and developing as this, this person that she's becoming, seeing her stand up to Matt and Foggy and how she's doing her own things, taking initiative is really nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that storyline of her now working with, the journalism office that Ben Urich was in. And I love that we even got Urich's boss. I can't remember his name.
Ellison.
Ellison, yes. I loved how we got more of him and actually that he wasn't a bad guy at all. He's just like a tough boss and like he just wanted what was best for the company and best for journalism. And like getting to see more of him and like how much he helps Karen out there too was really nice to see.
Yeah, it's easy to dislike Ellison after season 1. But they did a great job with his character this season. And I really like this this relationship that Karen and Frank have.
Yes.
Like she's the only one he'll talk to, but like it's easy to misconstrue that in a whole bunch of different ways, and people do throughout the entire season. And like Ellison keeps doubting her too, but I know it's really just that Frank, like she's the one who's shown compassion. Right. And so Frank latches on to that. He knows that she actually cares about his family, and so she wants his help. And she's a pretty important character in the Punisher series too. She's pulled over into that.
Yeah. That's good to hear because like I really like how much character growth she's had through this show. I'm interested to see what kind of happens with her going into season 3 now. She got a little bit in Defenders. Obviously, like the big thing here at the end is Matt reveals he's Daredevil to her at the very end.
About time.
Yes, about time. I was like, I'm shocked this has not been revealed till like the very last episode. Like, that's a bit crazy to me, but obviously with everything going on at the time, I get it. So
it's hard for me to understand why he wouldn't say sooner.
Yeah.
I guess it's just this sense of martyrdom. And I guess he does have this conversation with Claire where he's like, I'm just going to cut everybody out so that I can focus on only this. But like, even before that, Foggy already knew, and they were like starting to do okay. Why let Karen think that he had a drinking problem?
Yeah, that was interesting because like also Karen's a very smart lady. Like, I mean, I feel like she has doubts throughout, but she's just, she's dealing with all the Punisher stuff and whatnot. And so it's kind of like she's not going to doubt her friends at that point. But
well, it is good. They never made Karen out to be stupid, though.
Right.
Like she has this whole confrontation with Matt where she just says, when you're ready to stop lying to me, you can.
Yes, she does it. Yeah. And
that's great because she isn't going to take the bullshit.
Yeah. It's so tiring sometimes to just not have like the females be like the damsel in distress, and like I'm so glad that this is a character has no superpowers but yet is this really smart woman and like has a very important role in this show. So yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's so much going on. I already kind of touched on the hand stuff. I mean, I'll say like Elektra at least has something to her, and I think more of that intrigue came in Defenders, where like I could kind of latch on more to Elektra a little bit more than I have.
Sure.
I've not seen the Ben Affleck Jennifer Garner Elektra. I've not seen either of those. The only experience I have is obviously Jennifer Garner showing up in Deadpool and Wolverine, and I knew that she had played Elektra, but this was like my first true like understanding of who Elektra really is, because unfortunately, Deadpool and Wolverine, she really didn't get to do too much besides fight in that movie, and here she has a little bit. She has more of a storyline, and we get more of that in Defenders.
Yeah, I did get a little bored of them repeating the same story notes over and over with like Matt trying to be or make her good and her not wanting to be and them going back and forth. Like I could have done with maybe one episode fewer of that.
Yes.
But the reveal at the end of her being the Black Sky is really interesting, and that is a great jump off point for us to dive into the storyline of the Hand in the Defenders.
Yes, yeah. I mean, do we want to just touch on Defenders like in this episode, or do we want to like have more of a like podcast for Defenders specifically?
Let's come back to Defenders so that I have time to do my rewatch.
Yes, yeah. We can definitely come back to it. Anything else on season 2 you want to touch on? I mean, we mentioned Clancy Brown a little bit. I mean, once I saw Clancy Brown, I'm like, oh, it's Mr. Krabs, but but like Hank from Detroit Become Human. But I figured he had some bigger role to play in the show, because you don't just bring like Clancy Brown in and not have him do anything besides like be part of the court cases. So I guess I should have realized that he was going to probably be like the secret bad guy at the end who actually ruined Frank's life. But once like that happened, I actually didn't see that he was the blacksmith coming until like it happened. I'm like, okay, that makes sense why they brought Clancy Brown in. So
yeah, he's really interesting. He's he's such a great actor.
Mhm.
He really, really is. And if I'm remembering correctly, he also gets more in The Punisher.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've seen that.
Yeah, and this isn't his only MCU role. He's obviously Surtur and Thor Ragnarok as well. So,
yeah, that was just basically a cameo, though.
yeah, that was basically a cameo. But it's funny. It's funny when you get some of these actors who actually do play more than one role in the MCU.
Yeah, especially when they're like nothing like one another.
Right, exactly. So, but yeah, I that'd be something interesting again to go back and watch The Punisher to get more of this stuff. But I even enjoyed that piece of it. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else we haven't really touched on from season 2.
As far as old Marvel movies go, don't bother with the Ben Affleck or Jennifer Garner Daredevil or Elektra. The Punisher movies are okay though.
The old Punisher, yeah.
They're good older action movies. They're not like, they don't hold up so well to the test of time in my opinion. But they're all right to watch.
Yeah, I've heard okay things about them. I've seen some scenes from them, but like yeah, I haven't heard like that they're terrible movies. So
you know, they're your dad's action movies is what they are.
Yeah. So it was because I believe it was Ray Stevenson who was later Volstagg and Thor as well. And then Thomas Jane was the other one.
Thomas Jane, yep.
There was one more.
Dolph Lundgren, I think. Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. So there were 3 other Punishers before John Bernthal. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. That's crazy, and that never gets brought up that 4 people played the Punishers.
John Bernthal, hands down the best, though.
Oh yeah,
hands down.
I haven't seen the other ones play the Punisher, but I agree that he's been so good.
And he is just like, in all of the things that he is in, he is an amazing actor. He's really good at these like chaotic, rage-filled characters.
Yeah.
Walking Dead is what comes to mind in particular, but like I've also in Fury, he's really good. God, the cast of Daredevil just in general, so well done. Such great acting.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, we also do get like some Kingpin stuff. Obviously, he's trying to get like parole and everything in there, and then he wants to take over the prison, use the Punisher for that, and get him to kill the guy that's like in charge of the cell block, which is kind of funny.
I do really like that. Just the confrontation between Kingpin and Punisher is all of the tension there is so good. And then their goals aligning at least sort of. Like with Frank calling him out on shit, like you're just trying to get me out of here so I can take out all your competition.
Right.
And I love that. Just all of that is great. It's also great that we keep Kingpin in the show, but only in the background enough so that we know that, hey, this is where we came from. This is still going on, but not in your face and not at all a focal point.
Yeah, it is very, very nice. I guess I like that part that we took a bit more of a step back from how he was in season 1, where he was the forefront.
Yeah, especially with what we're going to get from him in season 3.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard both negative and positive about season 3. Like I've heard people really like season 3, and then you said you're not as big of a fan of season 3. So
I'm hopeful that a rewatch is going to change my mind.
Yeah.
I think the last time I watched it was right when it was new, which I don't even know how long ago that was, but I feel like I was a teenager.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So season 1 came out 2015, so 10 years ago at this point. 3 would have come out 17 or 18, I think.
Yeah, let's see. Daredevil season 3 release date was 2018. Yeah. So I guess I was not quite still a teenager, but still. There's a lot that can happen in that time.
Yeah. I'm 1 episode into season 3 now. That's where I'm at, or I just finished the first episode, so I did get to the point we got more into Matt's faith, so which is a big part of Daredevil's character is his faith. And we didn't get as much of that here.
Yep, and sooner than later you'll get a pretty big reveal too at the church, but I won't spoil that.
Yeah, and I'm excited to kind of get through season 3 and get to Born Again, because I've been hearing some good things about Born Again. I've also heard some mixed things, but I also did get spoiled on a major thing that happens pretty early on, but I'm not going to say it. So
yeah, I've avoided anything about Born Again, actually. I think before we get that far, I may rewatch those couple episodes of She-Hulk, and maybe I'll do Echo before season 3 as well.
Yeah, so Daredevil does appear for like a minute in Echo, maybe not even a minute, and then obviously Kingpin obviously is like the big thing, and obviously Kingpin's in Hawkeye too. So
yeah, and really it's less about Daredevil for Echo than it would be for Kingpin.
Right.
Does that take place before or after season 3?
Echo takes place after season 3, so like I believe Hawkeye and Echo both take place. I don't know like the timeline. I don't know if it's like, well, it would have been after the blip in the MCU timeline. So
okay.
So I guess because if the blip happens 2018, so probably shortly after the events of season 3, the blip happens from Thanos, and then 5 years pass by, and then
okay, yeah. I don't need to watch that yet. Then I can wait for all of the non-Defenders MCU stuff for now.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's what goes on there. I mean, Kingpin is at least, I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio is great. So I mean, he still has some good stuff in Echo. But Echo itself, in my opinion, was just like average probably for me.
I mean, that's pretty par for the course lately.
Yeah, lately, yes. But yeah, no, I'm excited to get through this, and you know, I think we'll have fun with Born Again. I mean, by the time I think we get through this, we'll get to just kind of binge through all of Born Again. So
yeah, that'll be good. I certainly won't drag my feet on Born Again because that'll be fresh.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do like reactions together, I guess, or something for at least some of Born Again. I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get there. But all right. So next podcast you get from us will be on the Defenders. So JJ will fill me in on context from the other Defenders shows because I don't have that context, and at least for Iron Fist, I don't know that I want I don't want to watch that at least. I mean, I've heard decent things about Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, but
I don't know if I said this on podcast yet. I might have said it off camera to you, but to viewers, my recommendation for the Defenders is don't bother with Iron Fist.
Okay.
Luke Cage is just, it's solid. It's not as good as Daredevil, but it's not bad. Jessica Jones is good if you like sort of a mystery thriller that is a very slow burn.
Okay. Yeah, and I know Jessica Jones, David Tennant's in it, and I know Luke Cage has Mahershala Ali. So
yes, both of whom are absolutely excellent in their respective roles.
Yeah, I've heard that like they're the best parts, and obviously, I mean, Christian Ritter and Mike Coulter do a good job, and I did like them in Defenders for what they were given in that show. So, but yeah, I mean, with that, yeah, we'll see you next podcast for our Defenders review on the Tribe of Nerds.